everyone, I'm so happy you're here. Today we're going to be making a pop-up slider card. This is one we're going to make today. Isn't that cute windmill? Look at that card. Don't you love it? Hi Stampers, this is Dawn and today we're going to make a pop-up slider card. You guys know that I love interactive cards and this card is so cute. Using one of my top favorite stamp sets and dies and the designer paper. This is actually a swap that I got from my glitter queen Sharon White. She had submitted this card for her swap. Isn't it cute? So now we're just going to change it ever so slightly. She made hers into a full-size card, which is an option you can do. I'm going to make mine into a card front. So the card mechanism is exactly the same. It's just that it is on a full-size card instead of a quarter sheet. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So when I'm actually putting the card together, I will show you what Sharon did with her card if you want to make it into a full-size card. But we're just using a quarter sheet of Pool Party and Basic White for our base. So these are both cut at 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. You'll need one of each, Pool Party and Basic White. And then this piece of Basic White is cut at 3 by 4 3/4. That's going to be for the sliding part of the card. Then the designer paper, this is the Flowering Fields designer paper. This is in that suite with the tulips. It's so cute. This is double-sided. This piece is cut at 3 by 4 1/4. And then I went ahead and die cut out the windmill and the clouds. So I want to show you that when you die cut them, even though the pieces might stay inside of the die after you cut out the shape, you need to just take your fingernail, or you could use your die brush and run it over the mat and it will pop out super easy. So I just want to show you on how easy it is that they pop out. And I did run it through the machine twice. So I ran it through, cranked it through once, and then I cranked it through again, just to make sure it did cut out all those little sections. And then the windmill is the same way. So I just went ahead and run my finger over top of those little squares, and they pop out really super easy. Okay, so after you get all your pieces cut out, we're gonna, oh, you know what, let me show you the pieces of the dies, because there's a lot of layers to this die set. And then this is the stamp set, the Tulip Fields, even though we're not using the stamp set yet, but it does come in a bundle. So when you purchase the stamp set and the dies, you can save 10%, okay? So what I did is I cut out the windmill, this part right here, with the crumb cake right here. And then this piece is with the Poppy Parade, which is right here. Actually, let me just lay this out over here. So that's with Poppy Parade and this die. And then this piece I cut out, the layer underneath the Poppy Parade is with the soft suede. Okay, so cut that out. And those are the 3 layers that we used for the windmill. And then the clouds, we don't want to push those off, but the clouds are also in this die. These are right here that I used. Okay, so now this layer right here, there are 5 pieces for this layer right here. I'm going to show you what that does. On the cover of the January through June mini catalog, this is that suite that we're using today. So you can see here that there's a fence in the very background, back by the tulips. That is those dies. These dies right here. So what's nice is that there's 5 dies that you can cut a long fence, so you don't have to keep reusing the 1 1 1 1 1 to keep cutting it. So you can just cut all 5 of them out at the same time, and then you can build your fence. And then this windmill right here coordinates with the stamp set, which is the windmill right here. So that cuts that out. Then it also has a bicycle die, a tree, and then also this decorative edge die right here. It's very cute. Okay, so that's the whole collection of the dies. All right, so let me go ahead and put these away. Now we're going to go ahead and put our designer paper onto our Pool Party. Okay, so I'm going to use the Stampin' Seal. So we're going to put this designer paper on the front of our Pool Party, but it's going to sit like this, so it's going to be at the bottom section of the card. Okay, so we just want to make sure that we cover our designer paper nicely on all the edges, because we're going to be cutting both layers, the designer paper and the Pool Party piece. So we just want to make sure it's going to be adhered down around all the sides. Okay, so that's what that's gonna look like. Okay, now we're gonna grab our paper trimmer. So let me grab that. All right, so we're gonna take our pool party piece with our designer paper and we're gonna line this up on the 4 1/4 inch side across the top. We're gonna line this edge up here on the left up at 3 1/2. Okay, now we're gonna cut 2 slits. So the first slit we're gonna cut lining it up at the cutting blade is what I'm talking about. Take the cutting blade and line that up with 3/4 along this cutting arm, cutting at 3/4, and then cut down to 4 3/4. And remember, you're going to be cutting through the designer paper as well. Okay, so then once you get that cut, then you're going to turn it on the opposite side. And you're going to line that up again at 3 1/2 and do the exact same cut. So cut from 3/4 down to 4 3/4. Okay, so then we're going to turn it on the 5 1/2 inch side with the bottom of the card on the cutting track this time. So now we're going to cut between these 2 cut lines. We're going to connect the 2 lines together, all right? So first we're going to cut, and we're going to line this 5 1/2 inch edge over here on the left up at 4 3/4. And we're going to cut in the center between those cut lines. So your blade should line up at 3/4, and you're going to cut down to 3 1/2. And you should feel it as soon as it cuts. Let me see if that did it. Get cut. Yep, there it goes. Okay, so now we're going to turn it with the top of the card on the cutting track. Okay, but now we're not going to cut, we're going to score. On the 5 1/2 inch side across the top, we're going to first score down at 1 1/4. So take this edge, line it up at 1 1/4. Remember, you're not going to cut this time, you're going to score. So scoring between the cut lines. So you want to line that up at 3/4, and you're going to score down to 3 1/2. Remember, you're scoring over the 2 layers too. Then you're going to slide it down to 3, and you're going to score between 3/4 and 3 1/2. Then slide it down to 4 3/4, and we're going to score again between the cut lines. So 3/4 down to 3 1/2, just like that. Okay. So then this is what your piece should look like. Now that 3 inch center score line should be close to that 3 inch designer paper as well, okay? So let's go ahead and grab our bone folder. We're gonna fold our score line. So I'm gonna fold this up on this 1 1/4 inch score line right down here. So fold it up, and then fold this down, and then fold it up. So now it should look like this on the side. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and reinforce those score lines with my bone folder. Okay, so now it should look like that. Okay, now we're going to take our piece of basic white. Remember, this is your 3 by 4 3/4. We're going to take our detailed trio punch, and I'm going to corner round just 2 of our points. So let me go ahead and do that. Okay, so we have our 2 corners rounded at the top. And now we're going to go ahead and put this on the back side of our card. So and on this little score line right here, which is actually the 1 1/4 inch score line, the very bottom one, we're going to take our Stampin' Seal. I'm going to run some adhesive along that little tiny score line. Then we're going to take our basic white piece. We're going to line this edge up with that edge of that little door there, the sliding part. And then you also want to keep this basic white piece between those cut lines. So you're centering it as well as lining it up at that edge. And keeping it centered, just make sure that that white piece doesn't go flip-flopping in the center. So like when I pull that, it's staying centered of that pool party piece. See that? Okay, so then when you put the back piece of this card onto the card, it's going to make it even more stable. All right, now I'm going to flip this forward, and I'm going to grab this piece of basic white, And I'm just going to line this up at the very bottom edge, which is actually the top of the card. Just going to put that together. Then we're going to grab our 1-inch circle punch. This punch is retired, but you could use any punch that you have. I'm going to center this punch between the two cut lines, and I'm going to punch a little finger hole so I can pull that slider part that pops up and slides. So I'm going to punch both the pieces, the basic white and the pool party, at the same time. So then this piece, see, flips forward, and then that piece is at the very top. So then the receiver knows to pull that section. Well, we got to put it together, but you guys know what I mean. Okay, so then the little finger hole is exposing the part that they're going to pull. Okay, so now let's go ahead and put the card together. So we're going to use some tear and tape. And I'm going to flip the pool party piece over. I'm going to put tear and tape along the back side on both of the long edges. And you don't want to get too close to the center part of the sliding mechanism, because you don't want to hinder that sliding part that's going up and down. So go to the far edge as close as possible. I'm going to grab my take your pick tool. I'm going to pull the backing off. Okay. Then we're going to grab the basic white piece. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put both pieces on the table, right? So we're going to balance those up. And then I'm going to line them up between my fingers. And then as soon as I get those lined up, then I can press them together with the tear and tape, just like that. And then that's going to put the card together. So then when you pull this, it's more stable. Okay, so now this is the part that Sharon used as the base of the card. Instead of the basic white, she used the Pear Pizzazz cardstock. So you can see this here, right? And then this is the white part that we use for the mechanism to pull. You can see it underneath the card there. But then instead of the basic white showing like mine, showing like this, okay? Use the Pear Pizzazz as the card base. I just use the basic white as a card front, okay? So even though it looks like it's white on the top and on the base bottom, it's actually still two separate pieces, just like Sharon's. Okay, so hopefully that explains it a little bit more in detail for you. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and stamp. Using the stamp set called Special Moments, and this is a celebration item that you can get for free for a $100 order during celebration, which is ending in the last day of February of 2022. So we're using 2 stamps from that, and I have them right here. Let me get my Memento ink. Greeting on the top when you pull it out, so the inside is being pulled up to reveal a message, and then also on the inside to reveal a message. So we're going to stamp this one at the bottom on the inside. Just going to stamp it right down here on the edge. So you could actually sign a message down here too. There's enough room to sign a little message there. And then this one's going to be stamped up here at the top. And this one says, "Where would I be without a friend like you?" And then this one says, "Just a card to say you're amazing." Isn't that sweet? I love it. All right, so we're going to stamp this right up on the top part of the card. So when you slide it, it's going to reveal the inside message up at the top and the bottom on the inside. So then the window closes both greetings. All right, now let's go ahead and build our windmill. The windmill is actually pretty simple. You're going to have your 3 pieces, and what I'm using are the brads. These are the square and round, or the round and square brads, and I'm going to use the round white brad. Let me see if I can find one here. There's also black in there too. Now these brads are really super long. Let me see if I can find one. There we go. So these brads have a long base right there. So what we're going to do is I'm going to put that into the windmill part so you can see that, right? But we got to add these 2 pieces together, and then we got to puncture a little hole there for that brad to go in there. Okay, so I'm just going to use my Stampin' Seal again. Just going to go ahead and add adhesive to the solid sections of this windmill. And that will hold the windmill really nicely together. But you could use your liquid glue if you want to go through all the little layers, but you don't have to. All right, so we're going to layer these two pieces together. Just like that. Okay, so I grabbed my take your pick tool and I'm going to puncture this little hole right here. And it shows up through the poppy parade, and then the soft suede is the piece that we're actually punching the hole through there. Push that through there. Then we're going to grab our windmill section with the brad. We're going to put that through there. Now, I didn't put my windmill too tight because I want my windmill to move, spin around. So don't close the prongs too tightly to the back side. So you want it to still spin like this. But what I found is that with the brads being so long on the prong part, I'm going to take some scissors and I'm just going to trim those down just a smidge so we don't have them poking out when the windmill gets to spin around. Just like that. And the brad is closed enough where it's not going to come off, but yet when you spin it, it's still not going to show on the back side. Isn't that cute? All right, now let me flip this over here. We're going to use the Stampin' Dimensionals for this windmill to be put on the front of the card, but you want to keep your dimensionals below this roof line of this windmill. So let me grab those. I'm going to put my dimensionals. Now these are the full-size dimensionals. So I'm going to put 4 dimensionals below the roof line of our windmill. I'm going to pop this up. Now I'm going to show you right where I'm going to put this. So when the card is sitting up, the windmill looks really cute. All right, so we're going to open up the card so I can show you. On this bottom section, right where we scored at 1 1/4, I'm going to put my windmill right there on that score line, right in the center of that pop-up, right there. So you have enough room so when the card is actually closed, the windmill isn't over the edge of the card. But yet when it pops up, it sits up so cute, and you can spin the windmill part of the windmill. Isn't that cute? I love it. All right, and then we got our 2 little clouds. Now you could also cut your dimensionals down, but I do have my mini dimensionals right here. So I'm going to use those, and I'm going to grab my take your pick. I'm going to put my mini dimensionals on the back of my clouds. And I want my clouds to hang over. I'm actually totally casing Sharons card because I love her card. So thank you, Sharon. You inspired me to make this card. I love it. Well, this was actually one of my top 5 bundles that I first bought. I love it. So we're going to put the bigger cloud over here, right below that top score line, right there. So that actually stays put. It doesn't actually move, and it doesn't hinder the moving up and down of the slider part. So we're going to take our smaller cloud. I'm going to put just one little mini dimensional over there on the back side. We're going to put this one over here. Just like that. Isn't it cute? Oh my gosh. And it moves. I can't believe the windmill moves so good. Like, look at that. It's so adorable. I love it. And the paper. Now, we have a city here in Michigan. It's Holland, Michigan. So we're known for the tulips and stuff up in Holland, Michigan. But it's so beautiful up there. Especially when you go through the tulip season up there. It's so pretty. All right, let me show you the other ones, and I'll show you Sharon's again. Now, here's the one that I first made. That we just made, right? And then here's the one that Sharon sent me for the swap. Isn't it cute? Now remember, hers is a full-size card, and then when hers pulls up, it shows the Pear Pizzazz underneath in the window. So it's the same exact same card. It's just changing to a base card into a color instead of the basic white. Okay? If you have any questions, please let me know. That's what I'm here for. Also, I'll have all the items listed down below. Then don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you don't miss any future videos. And then if you liked today's video, give me a thumbs up. Okay, I'll see you later. Bye.